Mr. Werfel, my constituents are afraid of guys like you. They look at this hearing, they listen to you, and I accept at face value that you've got a good reputation from the past, but they look at you and they are afraid. They're afraid of the power that you have. They're afraid of sort of your clinical and somewhat dispassionate approach on this. And I want to walk you through this to recognize the fear that they have because of the power that you have. And my prediction is that our country is at a tipping point right now. And the tipping point is there is an awakening amongst the governed about authority that they have delegated to Congress and that Congress has delegated in this place to the IRS, and that authority has been abused. So you used language earlier, things like I'm serious, I cling to the rule of law, you know what I mean, those types of things. And frankly, I would expect you to say things like that, and I'd be discouraged not to hear you say things like that. But you're familiar with the Taxpayer Bill of Rights of 1998, I assume, as a general document. It's a statute. And in the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, it's very clear that the Internal Revenue Service is prohibited under the law from willful misuse of provisions of Section 6103 for the purpose of concealing information from a congressional inquiry. You're familiar with that, aren't you?
Yes.
This is a congressional inquiry, clearly. There has been a request by this committee of documents to be forthcoming from the Internal Revenue Service. And here's an example of two of them. They have been redacted to the point of absurdity. Now, we have knowledge that there is information in these two documents that is not subject to 6103 protection. And so the entire Section 6103 question should be set aside. And what I'm suggesting is the fear that animates in the hearts of my constituents when they look at you is they say, we're not getting the straight answer. We're seeing bureaucratic double talk. We're seeing a bunch of nonsense. How can we possibly pierce through this? And so the level of anxiety and the concern that you hear from committee members is a recognition of an abuse of power, but it's a gratuitous abuse of power. Now, even when the investigation comes up, the committee, based on lawful requests, is now not getting the type of answers. So, can you assure us that this type of nonsense, where I know beyond the shadow of a doubt that there is information in these documents that should not be subject to 6103, that the IRS is claiming to an absurd Kafkaesque level that somehow this needs to be protected? Can you assure us, based on your 30 days on the job, that this nonsense will stop?
Let me give you several assurances that you can give to your constituents to clarify. The first assurance I would give is that the information that you're holding in your hand is not being held just by the IRS. We have submitted all the information, minus all those black lines and those redactions, to the chairman of this committee. So the notion and the implication that that information is being held just in the IRS is incorrect.
But Mr. Werfel, you know the law. You know that when it's cloaked in 6103, we're prohibited under the law from revealing that. So you've got to release this information so that it can be publicly discussed. That's exactly what the statute speaks to.
And let me get to my second point, and because I want to address each of those points. I just want to make sure that the public understood that that information resides with this committee and the Senate Finance Committee. The second reassurance is that there's a tension here.
But you didn't answer the question as it relates to the cloaking of 6103.
I will answer the question.
You are not releasing the information pursuant to 6103.
I can answer these questions if you enable me.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to make sure that that people understand, your constituents understand the tension that exists, that we also have a solemn responsibility to protect the confidentiality of their taxpayer information, and these procedures are set up. They're set up so that we redact this information, although we send all of it to the chairmen of the Ways and Means and Senate Finance Committee, so it's outside the IRS, and to the extent that there is a notion and a concern that there's over-redaction, and that's something that we need
This is junk. This is junk. This has no meaning.
It might be junk, but it might be sensitive taxpayer information.
It's not. We know it's not. And you're hiding behind it, and I'm telling you, I'm putting you on notice. This committee intends to uphold the 1998 Act, and we're going to follow through on it to make sure that the IRS is forthcoming and not creating a bunch of nonsense hiding behind bureaucratic double talk.
If there is a particular
Time has
instance. Okay.
I know at the staff level, Mr. Werfel, we have raised the issue of over-redaction. What it does is limits the ability of the committee to use it. And so I do think this is